Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Mental Health Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Imageworks for supplying our lovely t-shirts for all your printing and graphics needs. Hit them up. I'll put the links in the socials a bit later. So today's episode we are joined by myself, Matthew Riggs, Hayley Overall and Ed Archer. And today we are joined by the one and only Nush, mental health content creator. So,
welcome to the podcast.
Hello. How are we doing? You good?
Yeah, I'm alright. Yeah, I always get really nervous with this.
Oh, no, don't worry about
We're only the ADHD, you know.
Yeah. I like what you did there. Are they going to like me? What are they going to ask me?
We'll let you know afterwards.
Yeah.
So tell us about your story.
Oh,
I know. It's like, where do you start?
It's like an interview, isn't it? It's like 5 things that you think I found out I had ADHD last year. So it was literally like a year ago to the month. And prior to that, like I was just that typical like kid at school that was just naughty, got expelled,
quote unquote naughty.
Yeah. Well, I got loads of externals, if you remember what they are, where you have to stay at home. And I thought they were great. I loved them, so I just kept doing stuff to try and stay at home, basically. And that obviously ended up with them being like, you can't come back to school. Luckily, my parents sort of saved it and like got me back into the school. But I just felt like I was the only weird kid all the time. Didn't understand it. And then it wasn't until later on in life when you become an adult that actually the things that you're supposed to do as an adult, it just didn't make sense to me.
So you also found that tricky transitioning. So there was no support at school because you were just sort of labelled naughty.
Exactly.
So then got chucked out and whatever. But then later on, going into the adult world, you also like I'm assuming job-wise and things like that.
Yeah,
relationship-wise.
Got fired from everything. Honestly,
but it was everyone else's fault.
Yeah, but I was always really motivated to work. Like I'd never wanted to go to uni really. Like I applied for uni just to see if I could get in to prove to myself I could, which I couldn't. But don't need a degree. Just needed to know I could get one. Yeah. But then I was like, education is not for me. Like I can't stay in it. And when I came out of school and I started working, I realised that I was actually really good at business. Like I was really good at it, and everybody was really surprised because they were like, "You didn't do well in school. Like, why are you so good at this?" And I was like, "Because actually, I've taught myself the way that I can learn." And it's not in education. It's not being told how to do things. It's not somebody stood at a board pointing at a board. I'm bored. Like, make it interesting, make it fun.
And I'm guessing at school you probably only had 1 or 2 subjects that you absolutely loved.
Excelled
and then everything else was like,
yeah, you know what I worked out? It wasn't actually the subject. It was always the teacher.
Yeah.
Like, if the teacher liked me and I got on with the teacher, I would do anything I possibly could to impress that person. Yeah. And like the things that my parents, for instance, thought I was going to be really good at, like art, for instance. I'm really good at art. I had an art business, and now it's got to the point where it's like, actually, I was really good at the art. I was just crap at the organisation. Right. Like, so I got marked down for all of like the organisation in the book, but they were like, we could just like mark you on your work, you'd be A star. And I'd be like, cool, well, why don't you then? Yeah.
Let's forget about the work then.
Yeah, I think like you always get told like how to do something, like you're saying about learning and stuff. Like they always say to you, you got to do it this way.
Yeah,
the traditional way. But I've always struggled with dyslexia and maybe ADHD. I've never been diagnosed, but I've got a lot of the traits, and I always found that I was fine doing it my own way. You still got to the end course, the same thing, but they were never happy with that because I was never doing it the way that they textbooks said do it. So I understand that side of things.
Yeah,
well.
like all the lessons I did well in. Like I had a history teacher. I got kicked out of history in the end, but that was because I had a different history teacher after this history teacher, and I really enjoyed it because he used to stand on tables and like it was just kind of like out of the normal. Creative. And we'd all listen and we'd all learn. Like it was a different way of learning. So like it was really good. And then another history teacher who would just stand there and be like King Henry VIII. And I'd be like.
That's the thing. Like, I remember being at school and there was one teacher that always stays in my memory. He used to always just get his electric guitar out and did the times Davis with me. He just make up a
Where's he found that?
His name David Brent.
He was old school. Way before that, he was proper like that. And that stuck in my head, and you can always hear that tune in your head. It's like,
like even like today, like with little things like throughout life, I always like I still remember those little things from school. Like you know, like King Henry VIII. I always talk about him. I talk about him a lot, actually. Like divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded.
That's it, yeah.
I remember that because we used to sing the song at school. Like those sort of things were the things that I used to learn off. So now I've just created some form of like strategy for myself when I know.
Retaining nonsense information.
Exactly. Like, everyone's like, you're so intelligent about not a lot.
Jack of all trades, yeah.
Like, I'll tell you such a random facts that will just like stay with me this whole time, like, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the journey sort of like ended up in me going to therapy because I was in a really bad place, like so
How old
bad.
were you then? Sort of,
Like 23. Like
Okay.
I'd struggled with my mental health throughout my whole life.
so you were sort of like in and out of jobs, so by then it was taking its
Yeah.
toll.
I'd always do really, really well at these jobs, but it was always stupid things that I'd get fired for, like opening my mouth and being like, that's not
Being
right.
so
What
honest.
sort
Yeah.
of jobs? I'd love to know.
So my first ever job was at a hairdresser's when I was 12. So like I was working at school since
Yeah.
you know that what I just said then.
Since when?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. So I was always in work whilst doing something else because I just
Yeah.
was always on the go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sort of like hairdressers. Did a few like paper rounds, you know, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Always active. Didn't like the early morning start, so I stopped that quite quick. And then my first ever job was like in an events management company as a video editor for like M&S and Barclays and stuff like that. And loved that, but I was in a very male-dominated environment where it was weird for a female to be an editor at the time, and it was quite obvious that they sort of didn't want me there. They were sort of trying
Right.
to push me out. So I just moved departments to the events management side of things, and then I was a wedding planner for a bit. Yeah, and then realised that like I was really good at selling more than I was actually good at the organisation.
Yeah.
So I went into recruitment, as most ADHDers do. Like, I haven't spoken to a single ADHD that's not been
Not done.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause we
I've
just-
done recruitment.
Yeah, we're good at it.
I've done that in call centre work.
Yeah, and I was really, really good at it. But I was, whenever I join a business, I'm always there to try and find a different way of working because that's
Yeah,
how
they don't
my
like
brain
that.
works. No, they don't. And
This
so I
is how
started.
we've always done it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And like they wanted to stay old school, and I was like, well, you're not getting anything. So I started up a new creative branch of the company, and then started like vlogging and doing that kind of stuff on LinkedIn, and that was really working. And they hated it. Like they
Oh,
hated
really?
it.
Just too progressive for them.
Yeah, they were like,
yeah.
why does she think she can come in here and do all this? So it was actually an argument I ended up having with one of the girls there as well. I got fired.
Opened your mouth again, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't feel
No filter.
yeah, it was a very heated conversation amongst an 80-person open plan office. But
That's when heated arguments get. a bit-
yeah, you know what it is? It's like I can't be in a place where it's unfair and no one's saying anything. I can't deal with it. Like it was so unfair, and recruitment's brutal. Like it's paycheck to paycheck. If you don't make any commission, that's it. You're screwed. You're getting fired. Like that's how it works. And I was so stressed. I just had like Effie, my daughter, and she was in like the nursery. I'd show up late to work every day, but I'd be making 10 times more calls than half the people there. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like I'd get scrutinised for being late, and I'd be like, look at the numbers.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
you're not making sense. Like yeah, I'm late, but I'm still overperforming. Like
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the dopamine hit just went, and I was like, nah, I can't be
No,
honest with
done.
myself
Now.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done.
No, I find that as well. Like the jobs I've been in, they don't look at numbers. They just see like, oh, you're not in at 9, you're not in at this. You're like,
Yeah.
but like for a long time, someone said, whenever you finish, say 5 o'clock, I was always like, down tools, I'm gone.
Yeah, gone.
Because
I've got 5 to 5.
And every manager
Yeah.
would go, well, why are you leaving so quick? I said, are you going to pay me after 5?
Yeah.
If not, and unless you're going to give me overtime, I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, well, you never ever stay late there, but I always get in half an hour early, which you never see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I always put in the extra work.
There is no such thing as over hours or whatever. Is it overtime? What is that?
I've never understood that. Like,
Yeah.
I can't
You do
deal
the-
with the rat
yeah.
race, man. I just can't
No.
deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, can you not see how this is ruining everybody's mental health?
Yeah.
Like, people would be in the office until 10 p.m. just trying to get that last call
Yeah,
in. I'm like, who do you think wants to pick up the phone at
Yeah.
10 p.m.?
Yeah, and
Crazy.
different
About
cultures
work.
don't have the same rat race
No.
culture. Like if you go to like even
Spain.
close like Spain or even like Finland like that, their life work balance is so much more healthy.
in
Sweden,
Sweden,
do
4-day
4
weeks.
4 day
Yeah,
weeks.
and
Yeah,
they
that's
encourage
like trying
hobbies
anything
and
now.
things like that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, but I thought it would change a little bit post lockdown. But
Yeah.
when money's involved, it's always going to be a rat race, isn't it?
100%, yeah. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, I love money. So like I would used
Don't
to
we all?
chase it.
Yes,
Yeah, I
course,
used
yeah.
to chase it. And it wasn't until like sort of the last year I've been super humbled because going off and doing stuff yourself it's you have to join the rat race to be able to have stability. And that's just we should get into it.
Just slagging off corporate life.
Societal system. I'm trying to stay fully away from it now. Trying not my hardest to stay. If I'm going to go into full-time employment, it's going to be on my terms. I'm not agreeing to a job unless it's on my terms.
That's the business in you as well. You kind of want to do it your way, manage your own time,
and I know I'm good at it as well. Like if you give me the tools, I can make this thing like really good.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
So after recruitment, what next? So you had therapy as well alongside this, and you were starting to maybe realise that you weren't. I know you said you sort of realised you weren't maybe the norm or neurotypical as they call it, but
so it started off where I just randomly came across a book about ADHD. I can't even remember. I think it's Scattered Mind. No, maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to say it, just in case. I started. I don't really read, but I was on holiday and I was just looking at a book and I was like, this is a lot like me. Like, what's going on? So then I just hyper focused on ADHD.
That was right.
Yeah, definitely.
I went mad with it. It was literally 3 weeks of every time I got home from work, I'd be looking at all of these studies from different psychologists and all of this stuff. I didn't really trust TikTok wasn't really a thing at the time either. So I started looking at all of that kind of stuff, and then I was like, oh man. And then in therapy, I was like, you know what? I think I might have ADHD. And she was like, you did not know. And I was like, what? What do you mean did I not know? And she was like, I'm a neurodivergent specialist and you have ADHD. And I was like, oh, what are the chances? That's mad. So
but she didn't know at that point that you weren't aware of that.
I didn't know. So she just assumed that I knew I had ADHD. And she was a neurodivergent specialist, which is why I'm still with her now. She's sick.
Because you have to understand different ways of thinking and behaving. It's completely, if you're not neurodiverse, it's very hard to understand. Yeah. And then conversely, you it's very hard for you guys to understand how not to. That's really hard to explain.
Making you some sort of foreigner that doesn't understand.
Because that's how you did kind of feel, almost like a foreigner. Not that is really bad. You can't say that.
You know what I mean? You don't understand another language.
Yeah, but but then we were saying before the podcast that
don't bring me into it. I have nothing to do with it.
No,
it wasn't your idea.
There's a scale as well, isn't there? There's a
spectrum.
There's a spectrum where you can, especially there's men and women that can very much mask and just cope their whole life.
Yeah.
And that's.
I honestly, the diagnosis for me was groundbreaking because I knew I'd had it by this point, and then I'd be going to my therapy sessions with a notebook. And be right, so why do I do that?
Yes.
And then I'd be writing it down. Yeah. And then every time I learned something, the reason I started posting was this journey. And I had no followers at the time. And the posting was just literally me going to my therapy sessions and then talking to myself.
Yeah. So at that point, it wasn't really to share it was to share your experience, but it's almost your personal.
It's like a journal.
Wasn't it? It was a journal, wasn't it? I was paying so much money to go to these therapy sessions and realising how expensive it was. I wasn't paying it, my mum was paying it because she was trying to help me out. I couldn't afford it. It was mad. It's 90 quid an hour because of the neurodivergent specialist side of things. And I'm thinking, how many people out here have this problem and just get pushed onto the NHS counselling
because they haven't got the facility, they haven't got the luck of having their parents go, I'll help you out.
Exactly. So I was I'm in a really lucky position right now, so I want to share it. So I documented all of these different things just for myself to learn, and I was the typical nerves of putting it out on social media, and I was just do it. The ADHD impulse in me was just nah, do it. And so I sent it out, and then all of a sudden it went viral. I had my mates messaging me at 2 a.m. being your video's got 200k views, and I was what? And I used to be a social media manager.
Oh, did you?
Right. Yeah, that's what we did get to. Yeah, I'm gonna spiral.
Hold that.
How's that not? So I just applied everything that I knew to myself in terms of the captions, how it looks, what I'm doing with the subtitles, all of that kind of stuff. So I kind of knew that it was going to go somewhere, but didn't expect it to get the traction that it did. And then I was right, okay, strategy time. So then that's when I was okay, 3 videos a day, blah, blah, blah. But it started off with just documenting that journey first of all. And then it came to the time where October last year, diagnosis. I got my diagnosis. My dad got his Alzheimer's diagnosis.
Oh wow!
My granddad died, and one of my really close mates had died all in the space of 2 days.
Wow.
So I was and it sounds really weird, but I'm kind of grateful that it all happened at once because it was too much to focus on individual things.
Right.
So like I looked at it all as like one big problem, and I'm glad I did, because if that had happened over the space of a year, I would have just got like punched and punched and punched.
Yeah, I get it.
You feel like you're coming out of the hole again, and then you get hit back down.
Exactly, yeah, because it all happened at once. I just went to like the darkest place ever, really, and was like, what can I do here? Like, it was more so seeing. It was more so my friend passing away. That was the big thing for me.
Was that like rock bottom for you? Was that like the hardest part of your
No,
life?
rock bottom was like 2 years before that. I'll talk about that in a minute. But like this part was like, what can I do to help families not have to go through this? Like one of my other best mates just lost his brother. Like all of our friendship group, there's like 20 lads in the friendship group, and I'm like the only female. They're all like really struggling, and like there's nothing out here for, especially for men, to be able to go like, I think I might have this, or I'm not sure how I'm feeling right now. And I'm not going to say he had ADHD. Like, in my opinion, like he was probably one of the most ADHD people I met, but I'm not a doctor and I can't diagnose that. But like, if he would have just had that extra little bit of help, like what could that have been? So I thought like TikTok is going mad at the moment. Might as well just start like,
that was the impetus.
Trying to do stuff like that. And then I created a strategy for myself and being a social media manager. So I was like, 3 videos a day. These are the topics of this day. These are the topics of that day. So for 3 months, I was literally every day, 3 videos a day.
Would you say that's how you dealt with it? Because you just chucked yourself into work.
Yeah. Exactly. But
and look,
it
the
was
outlook
like
was positive.
one.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was ignoring it. I was actually dealing with it at the same time of trying to help other people. And I think you'll find with a lot of ADHDers, we get so much gratification. It's almost like selflessness. Like,
got you. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's contradictory.
It's narcissist, but for a positive outcome. That's what
positive
it is.
narcissist.
No, but that is. No, there is.
That's a really interesting thing actually, because there's a lot of crossovers between narcissism and ADHD. But that's for another day.
Now they explain all the insults I've had in the past.
Being narcissist doesn't have to be negative.
No, it's the intent that's the different thing. It's the intent.
100%.
So like narcissists and ADHDs can be seen as exactly the same person, but their intentions are completely different.
Well, I've always found and I always thought some things I just get no emotion. Nothing will hit me emotionally, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, what? Like, am I just some sort of like, well, I am ginger, so I've got no soul, but that could
Not
be.
my words.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, but then reading into it and obviously starting my diagnosis with ADHD, it's like, no, sometimes you just switch off your emotion because
that's your way of dealing with it too.
It's just disassociation. But
then other things, like I can listen to like a song and I'll just cry.
Weep.
Well, I have a playlist of stuff that if I want to cry, I'll just...
Good on you, man.
Yeah.
That's your
I love a cry.
I love a little drive cry.
Oh, they're the best ones.
I love a scream cry. Like I fall like...
I'm just cutting onions, honestly.
Yeah. So, it was... I don't know. That part of like my life was just so like...
Not. Yeah.
So that was my way of sort of strategizing it. And then my dad started to need more help, so I was like, right, I'm going to quit my social media job and then just do my social media stuff because I can now.
Yeah.
But then the motivation for me just went whoosh, because I didn't feel like I had much of a purpose anymore unless I was getting up in the morning and doing stuff. Like I didn't work with anybody, so I was doing it solo. And then that's when I was like, right, I need a job, but I'm going to do this on the side. So I went to punting, if you know what punting is.
Yep.
Did you? As in?
Yeah, in Cambridge.
Yeah.
So I've actually been a punter for 10 years now.
You have
so
to
I've
work
started
that
it from
correctly.
college. There's so many connotations.
Yeah.
What is it? Sorry.
So it's like, you know, like in Oxford and Cambridge, you've got boats with
Okay, with
sticks.
on the back.
Yeah. So if you're wondering why.
It's like, it's like British version of like in Venice.
Yeah, kind of.
How interesting.
Yeah, so, and I actually found a love for history as well by doing it.
Yeah.
And now I sometimes go and do it every now and then.
Do you?
Just to get a bit of extra money. And it's just nice to meet people all the time from different walks of life and stuff like that. And it's kind of weird because I'm starting to get to the point as well where I'm pushing people down the river and they're like, you never Nush. And I'm like, oh my God.
No.
Because that's like my safe place.
Yeah.
So when people are like, do you do ADHD content? I'm like, get off the boat. Just leave the boat. This is for me.
This is your stop.
No, it's nice though. But it like I said before, it always gets weird. It's still weird. yeah, that's, I suppose, the story, really.
Yeah, so you're saying about guys on ADHD, you're saying like more awareness for...
Yeah, man. I mean, I think there's just like... Right now, there's this hype about ADHD, right? Like, and that's because obviously they're doing loads more research and they're finding out way more things about ADHD. They're saying, like, I think the main thing is at the moment the talking point is that women have been looked past on the ADHD front. But I really feel like it's starting to drown out the men a little bit because there's so many podcasts now about ADHD. There's so many people talking about ADHD. There's so many more content creators as well on ADHD and stuff like that. But it's really difficult because it's like, although that's amazing and it's so cool, I really feel like it's the men that are the ones that don't speak. So like there's a lot of, I don't know, what you said earlier, like a lot of women will go like, oh yeah, like men's mental health, and then they'll be like, but my mental health. And I feel like I am going to do that as well today, like in terms, because I'm obviously talking about my story and stuff like that, but it's really important to me that it's shine a light on that men need the extra help, if not, because it's a lot harder for a man to go, I'm going to go to therapy or I'm going to go talk about this, because that's why men end up sitting with their feelings. And if they've got ADHD, that's a dark hole, man. Like, and that's why I've seen a lot of my friends, especially men, being in that mindset, and there's only one solution for that. And if you see the suicide rates with ADHD in men, it's mad. Like, it's crazy.
That's the thing as well, like you say, like women, well, naturally they talk. Like you two have only just met and you were already talking, like you'd known each other ages. Like women just naturally just convert. Blokes will, but we won't talk about things that matter. No. Like we'll talk utter nonsense to each other. But when it comes to getting help and stuff, it's hard enough anyway if you're just feeling low. But if you're...
Well, it's also just the word getting help, isn't it? Yeah. Like, because you're supposed to be a man. You don't need that. You're supposed to be the one providing the help and all that kind of stuff. When actually, like, it mainly helps a bad word. Like, it's just about discussing things with like-minded people to understand that it's not you and
and your own strategies. Like you said, you found your own strategies. That's quite important. So.
Yeah.
I think as well, like, it's the most important thing. Then obviously, this is why we're doing it. Is just to have the conversation, and I think it's only been me angling this in only because it just highly irritated me this week, and it annoyed Matt as well. I put a post up on the campaign, and it said 115 men commit suicide. Now there's lots of studies that say you shouldn't use this word, you shouldn't say this word, you shouldn't use this terminology. And I'm just at the point now, like I couldn't give a shit what, like if you're focusing that much on a word and not the 115 and in turn 6,000 men a year killing themselves, what does it matter whether you're going commit or die by or take their own life or unalive or whatever? Like, what are your kind of...
Get that
but it seems to be a big one at the moment with terminology. Do you get that in like the ADHD?
You must get a lot of trolls, as well as you probably get a lot of support. There's always going to be people with opinions.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? It's actually...
And obviously everyone's opinion is right.
Yeah, obviously. Well, I'm a big believer in everything is subjective and everything is perspective. Like, I don't think that anybody is right or wrong. I think it depends on where you've come from and what you've learned and what you're willing to unlearn. Like,
yes, that's a good point.
I think with trolls, like,
Here we go.
I'm impulsive. I don't care. Like, I genuinely don't care. Like, I would happily challenge anybody to try and troll me, because it's just like, at the end of the day, like, I know what I'm doing is helping the majority of people.
That's it.
So, like, if you're going to come and try and rip me apart, have you not been here? Like, have you not followed to know that I used to be really, like, conscious of myself, insecure, and I'm now a very secure person, and I piss people off with that, because people get jealous. They're like, why can she be so confident in herself?
And the negativity comes from their own issues.
Every single comment that's ever going to be a troll is going to be reflective of themselves.
Absolutely.
So, like,
and that therapy helps you learn that.
Yeah. So, like, I was on a live yesterday, for instance, and I'm really conscious about my teeth, right? And like people are like, oh, there's not much wrong with your teeth. And I used to have really beautiful straight teeth, but I knocked them out last year because I'm an idiot. Because I like literally fell into a wall with a roast dinner and then woke up.
But I'm
Roast dinner.
Sorry, was that roast dinner?
Yeah.
But did you save the roast dinner?
No.
Oh, that's even worse. No.
And the worst thing is I couldn't have a shower for like a week because I couldn't move afterwards because I was so ill.
What happened?
That I had
How
roast
did you
dinner
just
in my
trip
head
into
for a
your
week.
dinner?
Yeah, so I had COVID.
They're
funny enough.
excited. She's that excited to eat
I
roast
was
dinner.
And just being me, I wanted a 2 a.m. roast dinner. So
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. And I was really ill. Like, you know, like, do you remember when COVID was like proper fainting spells, COVID? And I had that. And then went to microwave my roast from the previous day. Walk into my bedroom and then like just strolled in thinking, oh, well, it's time to eat this roast. I was going to go down a tree today.
2 a.m.
Yeah. I was well excited. Yes. And like before I knew it, I was on the floor and like I'd woken up and I didn't realise how long I was on the floor.
Carrot in your nose. And...
Man, honestly, I had chicken on my hair. Like, and then I was like, my mouth feels really light. Like it feels really light. And then
Didn't you have gravy on it?
I did.
Oh.
I did. Yeah, that was on my face. And then I looked in the mirror and like just in true Nush style, I was like, yeah, of course you've done that. Like I looked, she said to myself
Standard.
in the mirror, I was like, standard, you've knocked out 2 of your teeth.
Yeah.
Fair, how much is that going to cost? Like, and called my mum like crying, like, oh, I just knocked out my teeth. I don't know what to do. And then she came round. We found the bits of teeth, put it in some milk. Went to the emergency dentist, got them put back in. But that was the end of my nice teeth. And now one of them's dead. I've just had a root canal 2 days ago. Like and I've got 3 more root canals to go. Like it's ridiculous. And I'm really conscious about it. And somebody commented on my live, basically being like, "Are those grills or are they your teeth?" And I was like,
I saw that. Like, I was watching that live.
and that's what that just like snatched me a little bit.
It's like playground bullying. It's horrible.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I literally just went. No, they're not. But I can understand why he said that because they're obviously very uneven. One of them's dark, and that's because I knocked my teeth out last
called
year.
him
You got
out
anything
on
else
it.
to say?
Yeah, well done.
And then they're like, no. And I was like, sad.
it just comes from, like you said, an
There goes that
envious place.
tumbleweed.
I was like,
bit like
next
it.
question.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a bit like 8 Mile Women Emerald by the end, where he just slates himself off. You've got anything to say about me? No, well,
Yeah.
Except
that's
it
it,
was
crap
roast
off.
hair in their hair, not spaghetti. Mine spaghetti.
Not Nush's roast dinner.
I'll just leave now.
I know, he's actually, well, I know it's a bit off track, but he's just bought out a pasta sauce called Mum's.
Yes, that's such a good marketing. I love it.
Don't fake when you're eating it.
Honestly, yeah. Every time I have a roast dinner now, I'm like,
Do you wait a couple of minutes just in case you might pass out?
yeah, like if it's midnight, like I love a midnight meal. It's not a
midnight snack.
Like, not a snack,
A meal.
Just 3 courses. Like,
I used to do that as well. I used to be like kebab,
you were 30 stone.
24 nuggets, chicken strips at midnight. They used to be quite good.
Yeah.
Always wake up not too hungry for breakfast then.
I know, exactly. It's just
Not when you've had a bargain bucket at 2 a.m. to be fair.
Yeah. I forgot what we were talking about. Trials. Yeah. But it's actually like I the percentage of it, I don't really get any. Like I've on my
You got
lives
to that
I
point
do.
where you're just past it now. Like you.
Yeah, like what
Well, and your
I never
attention
really got
is
to
clear.
Yeah, I think as well. If you look at my videos, and like you speak to me in person, I'm pretty much the same. Like I don't really put a mask over
And
or anything
you're,
like that.
because you're honest, I think people really, that's what they really, really like and aspire to be. Like you,
Like you can try to rip me down, but everything that you're saying, I've probably already said about myself. So like it
Or
takes
someone
away
else
the
has said
fun
it
factor
anyway.
for
Yeah.
them. Like because they want to upset people. And there was a guy on my live yesterday as well. I was just like, if you want to upset me, like keep going because you're just gonna waste your thumbs, man. Like it's and then everybody was like, yes, come on, we love that from you. And then everybody started backing me anyway, and I was like, see, there's a whole brigade here, man. See you later. So yeah, it's kind of fun. But I also like to reply to people who especially have like this opinion on ADHD. Like everybody's got ADHD. And blah, blah, blah.
I was going to broach
yeah.
that subject. How do you, what's your like approach to dealing with that? And what would you say to people? Because it is being thrown around left, right and centre at the moment. It's very like
It's become a
trendy,
trend, isn't it?
Isn't it? And it's a shame because obviously people are suffering. So again, I'm sure practitioners are probably turning people away who probably could do with the support and vice versa.
It was like the
Like,
mental health,
only-
wasn't it? It was like mental health, like last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
That came big, and it so many like people jumping on that bandwagon, and it seems like you say, ADHD has become this new bandwagon, and then the people that are truly struggling and need the help are just
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree or disagree.
disagree.
Yeah, I'll tell you if I do. No, I think it's more like if somebody says like they've got ADHD and they haven't got the diagnosis, number one, getting the diagnosis out here is ridiculous. Like you have to wait 5+ years now. I think something stupid. Like when I was looking, it was 2+ years. Now it's 5 to 7 or something
Is
like
that
that.
even if you want to pay for it privately, or is that?
If you want, well, that's going up now as well.
Pay
Anyway,
for privately,
people are
you can
going
get it
there.
within about a
No,
month.
that's like NHS.
Yeah, I did that. So I was fuming. The day I got diagnosed, got a call from the NHS being like, your assessment is ready. And I was like, 2 years too
no
late.
way.
I've just paid £1,000 to get myself
Yeah.
done. Like, so it's ridiculous. But so like the only thing that I would say to anybody like talking about ADHD, everybody's got ADHD now, but in a negative way. Like, why do you think you should say that you have ADHD? Like, my only thing is like, does it affect you? Like, does it affect you that someone's saying that they have ADHD if they do or don't? Like, and if it does affect you, then that's really sad. But like, if it doesn't affect you, then why are you bothered if somebody's like? My thing is like diagnoses are so hard. So like, no one's going to really be able to know for the next 5 years if they've actually got it or not, unless they've. But my whole thing is like, I knew I had ADHD before I got diagnosed. I was so sure of it because of the amount of research that I'd done. And actually, can a psychiatrist sit there and go, yes, you have ADHD without giving you a brain scan and actually showing you the science? Because everybody's good at their jobs. There's a lot of people that are bad at their jobs. Like, you've got to think about it from like such like that subjective perspective.
Yeah.
If you genuinely believe you have it 9 out of 10 times, you probably do. And if you don't have it, it doesn't matter because you're trying to learn about your brain. And like, you might find out later in life that you don't have a bit. If everybody follows the strategies and rules of trying to look after their mental health by thinking they have ADHD, the world would be a much better place anyway. So I don't really care if you don't have ADHD and you're saying you have ADHD, as long as you're looking after yourself.
Well, that's it. I was going to
Then
say,
that's
because
it.
even if you've not been diagnosed, regardless whether you think you have or haven't, then people can only benefit from, like you said, you've had strategies that you've learned and you recognise behaviours and things, and you're already like trying to build the foundations to a more positive life.
Yeah,
So why would you not embed that?
I think the only annoying thing is when people go, use ADHD as an excuse. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it so much because it's like, do you know how much work people out here are doing to try to be happy? And then you'll go, Carl, dude, I've got ADHD. And it's like, I will literally exhaust everything until I realise, actually, no, I genuinely can't do that. But I don't go, I can't do it. I go, I need help with this. So that's where people need to do things, because I think a lot of people just go, I can't do that, I've got ADHD, when they should just go, I can't do this isn't in my forte, but I can have some help with it. That's where I think a lot of jobs go wrong for people and stuff like that. And I've done the same.
I think a lot of jobs, I think it's going back to the mental health and the whole people jumping on a bandwagon or it being the in thing at a specific time. Like, I know I've spoken to employers where mental health has become very important in the workplace, but only at an HR perspective where they'd cover their own back enough to make sure that they can't get sued.
Yeah.
But they've also been bitten so many times by people taking the mick by going, I can't come in today, I'm struggling with my mental health. The amount of people, and then that kind of
it's a vicious
circle, because it messes it up for the people that are truly struggling.
People taking the mick, aren't you?
And I think people do that then. I think now employers are like that with ADHD. Because they're like, well, you're just using it as an excuse.
I know, yeah. I mean, this is a perfect example as well. Is like, so my last job that I had for the agency where I was doing like Nando's and Jägermeister's social media. I don't know if I'm allowed to. Whatever.
Yeah. Other companies are available.
It's done. And from like knowing the things I was really good at, like I'm happy to sit here and say I did a really good job when I was there, and like I worked really well because the people around me were willing to help with the way that I work. So instead of sending me a long brief in an email, they'd send me a voice note, and the voice note would transcribe it for me. So then I'd be reading it as I'm listening to it.
Nice.
And like things like that cut out 2 hours of a day for me, because like it'd be 2 hours of me rereading this thing and trying to get it stuck in my head. But if somebody's speaking to me, I can hear it so much better. So like those kind of things. And then like I started to notice a drop in my motivation throughout working there. And I had loads of stuff going on at home. Like I said, last year, all of that madness happened, and that was whilst I was working. So it was all just like, whoa. And things started to decline, And as my mental health was declining, obviously my workload was declining as well, and I wasn't performing to the best of my standards. Give me a job, like a quick activation, I'd still smash it. But if it was a long project, I'd keep dropping out of little things like communication or telling somebody that I'm going to be 5 minutes late to a meeting because I had to drop my daughter off somewhere. Like, I used to be really on those kind of things, but when my mental health dropped, those things sort of fell through the net. Like, and I had to be really honest with myself and be like, this company is a company that is running, that has been so good to me this far, and I'm dropping off, and where's the benefit for them here? And that's where I had to have the conversation, like, I either need an ADHD coach in the workplace or I need to leave, because I know that I'm not going to be doing well here for you guys. And then it was like, well, I had to drop down a day first of all because I needed to spend more time with my dad and stuff like that. So, and that was taking a long time to come through. And I was like, guys, this isn't the point. Like, I need to spend more time with him now, like, whilst he's good. Like, and it just ended up being like an HR nightmare. And then that's when I was like, oh shit, like there's actually nothing in place for neurodivergence when they've got this burnout to go, right, here's this, here's that, blah, blah, blah. And there is actually, but there's not anybody that has access or knows how to have access to it. So then I started studying it and going mad or just sending my CEO links. Like, I was like, look at this one. Like, and it turns out that there is actually help out there, but you have to cross a lot of hoops and boundaries and everything to get to them. And I was like, I had to just admit the thing, and it was the worst thing ever because I loved that company. I went back there the other day for the Halloween party. Like, I love them, and I love everybody that works there and what they stand for, because they're all just genuinely nice people. Never worked in an agency like it. Don't get me wrong, still the rat race, still working till midnight sometimes, and it's terrible. But like, they do look after people's mental health. And then that's when I was like, you've actually done everything you can for me, and I still can't perform to that standard. So I'm just going to have to go, I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to go. Which then financially left me ridiculously broke. Like, and everyone was like, well, you actually did so well as an influencer now. And it's like, no, you still get as much out of what you put in. And I've left because I'm mentally drained. So I'm not going to start picking up that money for a long time. Like, and it started to come in now, and it's cool because it's like, whoa, you're giving me how much? Like, and it's cool, but again, it's a freelancer job, so it's like,
it's as much as you put in though, isn't it?
Yeah, you have good months, you have bad months, like whatever. And I think there's such a misconception on social media. As soon as you get a few followers, people think, oh my god, you must be making bank. And I'm like, no. But I was like, too late to ask me if like they could borrow me money. I'm like, bruv, I can't afford my rent this month. Like, what, you big time influencer now? No. Well, yeah, you see that event I got invited to, it was just an invite. I didn't get paid for it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like those kind of things.
It's good for exposure. You have to do in freelance a lot of stuff that's free.
I have to just market myself as much as I possibly can all the time. But and making a living out of doing something that's helping people is going to be amazing, and I can't wait for it. But
fulfilling.
Now I've accepted a new job, so I'm starting a full-time job again. I've actually signed an NDA, so I can't actually talk about it. It's really exciting.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, and it's going to be helping.
It's obviously not Jägermeister or KFC.
No, it's going to really help people. No, it's going to be really good, but you'll see it in the next few months. But yeah, it's got to the point where I was just like, actually, I can't work for myself either. I need to admit defeat here too. But I can work for a company that also has this whole like, whoa, that was kind of, has this whole, what do you call it, that focus on mental health. Thank you. I'm like a child. It's
a shame we can't plug it on the podcast, isn't it? But it's coming soon.
It is coming soon. It is coming soon. And when I can talk about it, I'll definitely share some stuff with you because it's well exciting. But it's like a startup company. I'm going to be a partner of it.
Oh, lovely. Right up your street.
Yeah.
It's like business.
So I get to make some rules. I'm joking about rules. We don't do rules, we do strategies. So yeah, I'm excited, but I forgot what we were speaking about in the first place. So it's just a whole loop really.
So you're obviously asked you earlier about what was rock bottom for you. So what was that, and how did you cope with it? How did you deal with it?
You thought you'd forget, didn't you?
You remember?
Yeah. So
you don't have to.
No, I will. That's pretty aggressive. No, I will.
That was determination. Let me do my thing.
So like, how did it start? Like, I suppose it was just like the years leading up to it. I got really lonely because I'd left school and then was like, oh, where are my people, you know? And I was always one person within a friendship group of multiple friendship groups. I never like really got on when all of us would meet up, because there'd be certain people in the group that I didn't really vibe with, but my mate vibed with them, so I just sort of...
That's the
put up with
worst,
them.
when you get on with someone but they get on with someone you don't like.
Honestly, they'd be talking about, do you know this guy's chat? Is it just me?
Man's the
he's
waffle
talking to
king.
And you have to hold your
Yeah, but it's,
tongue.
like, it's just him though. And I'm like, why do you want to be friends with just him?
Yeah.
Do you not want to have genuine, meaningful conversation?
With me.
Yeah, with just me. Let's go. Like, but it was just the ADHD me that couldn't like conform to everybody in one group, and people either love me or hate me. Like that's just how it has always been. And then throughout my professional life, making friends along the way, and actually all of the friends that I'd made at school, I was still really close with because they always used to just respect that I was the most honest person ever. If they had to, am I acting like a dick here? I'd be like, yeah, you're acting like
100%.
That's that. Yeah.
you really need to ward your neck in it. And then they'd be like, thank you, like because they know it comes from a nice place. It's never like I hate you. It was always just me being like honest. So I carried these friends through with me, and I was like, oh wow, like apparently ADHD is supposed to be really bad at maintaining relationships, so I'm pretty good at it. But actually it was my mates maintaining it for me, it wasn't me. They sort of knew.
You were just attending.
Yeah, exactly. Like they know if they don't hear from me in 2 months, so they should probably check in and be like, you're right, be quiet. Like, but it's never like, oh, you never see me anymore.
No.
Like, we all have this mutual agreement that like we're all busy.
That's it.
And we'll all come back together and all this kind of stuff. But
It's just the same when you do.
yeah, exactly. But the point for me, the turning point of my mental health, where like I was struggling constantly, but it wasn't like oh my God, I'm in a really bad place. It was more dips and troughs and whatever that's saying.
That's it, yeah.
Peaks and troughs.
Peaks and troughs. Yeah. And it was like I got into a relationship, and everything was like love bombing, and it was just like really intense, really quick.
Was that love bombing from you? Or was it
sides.
Just intense, yeah.
Yeah, intense.
because ADHDs have a tendency of going
it's
all
like-
very...
Yeah, don't.
All in.
You're everything, you're everything,
You're
yeah.
my whole world.
Yeah.
Here's lots of songs that remind me of you. Here's
Exactly.
videos.
Like memes, like this is us. Like, it was always the Joker and Harley Quinn meme. Like, look at us, we're so toxic.
But we're talking together.
But we're toxic together and we'll be together.
That's it, yeah.
I'm single now. Literally. And like that relationship was just mad for me. I can't really go fully into it, but I had a daughter. I was engaged. It was just a very toxic relationship, and really bad, to the point where I came out of that relationship like a broken human being. I didn't know who I was. My identity was completely stripped away from me. I've got this newborn baby. I have no idea what the hell to do with it. Like having this whole like a crisis of going through bad postnatal depression whilst having undiagnosed ADHD and PTSD at that time as well. So it was just like a madness of different emotions. I then got into another relationship really quick because that's what we tend to do to try and
Relationship.
someone love me.
Yeah.
I need someone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
and he was really helpful for me because like he wasn't toxic, but like he was very straightforward and very like he's definitely going to see this and very like business minded, which really kicked off me into the business side. So I used to deal with my emotions by trying to make money, and that's when I was in recruitment and stuff like that. So that really helped me, and I was with him for like 2 years. But then I think we both just realised that we weren't actually here for the relationship long term. We were both here because we've both been through something really, so it's trauma bonding, really.
You're just helping each other to fix yourself.
And he still calls me up every now and then when he needs something. And I'll be like, what you want? Like,
How much?
yeah, like, and he's like, you can do it for free. I'm like, no, don't work for free. You sort it out.
It's your fault.
Exactly. And now we don't ever work together though, because that's whatever. But then I then got into like what I like to call like the love of my life relationship kind of thing, where like I was like, oh shit, this is what love is. Like I didn't know that. Like it took me so many relationships to get to the point where I was like, I want to do everything for you. Like I want to make you a cup of tea even though I'm tired and don't get myself out of bed. I'm going to do it for you. Like, and then all of those things started coming into place, and then that ended, and I was like, what the hell? Like I've just experienced this amazing like luxury lifestyle of like we didn't have any money or anything. Like, it was just genuine like connection and love and all of that. And I ended up actually getting pregnant and then having to have an abortion, and then that was when I went down, because from having the postnatal depression and then actually finding out I was pregnant and being like, why am I excited about that? Because I'd never had that before.
Because then that guilt comes
Yeah.
in.
And that guilt came in, and I knew that we weren't in a position to, and I wasn't in a mental health position either to bring another kid into the world. So I am an advocate for abortions. I think.
Pro-choice.
Yeah, pro-choice, definitely. And not an advocate, that sounds really bad.
Yeah, totally.
But you support pro-choice.
I support choice. Yeah, I support everybody can make their own decisions. And I got to the point where like I had to go to hospital and have it surgically removed because I got like a real weird blood type. Right. So they didn't want to give me the pills, and I was a bit too far along and all of this stuff. So like mentally,
traumatizing.
Man, like I can't even explain to you how traumatizing it was. It was worse than coming out of that horrible relationship I was in. Like it was, I felt like, I don't know, you get this like sudden mother nature call where you're like, I'm made to produce this, like, and I don't want to. Because I didn't want to.
It's like an eternal conflict, isn't it?
And being a mum, like a single mum anyway, like I knew how difficult this shit was. This is not for like the faint-hearted, man. Like you got to be like so vigilant and look after someone else, even though your mental health is completely down. Like, and I was like, I can't bring another one in. Like
I'm struggling to keep myself here, let alone.
Yeah, like I went through a time where my mum was really helping me out with my daughter because my mental health was so bad. And at that point, I remember there was one night I called my mum and I was like, you need to come and get Effie now. Like I'm in a really bad place. And honestly, I've not actually talked about this online before, so this will be the first time where it's actually like talked about. But it's just because of like that I was scared of the judgment and stuff. But nowadays, like this is just my story. This is who I am. I'm a good mum. Like
that's it.
And my daughter's very well looked after. She's the happiest kid ever. And
a lot will relate to you.
Yeah, and I'm really glad I went through that time of not feeling like a good mum and not being a good mum because I wasn't for a little bit, you know, like, and that was the bottom of it completely. And that night when I called my mum, I heard my stepdad on the phone, and I remember my stepdad was like, no, you need to go now, because like they had heard that sort of like
panic
in my voice where I was like, nah, I just need to go. I'm done with this life now. Like I was very much like I've failed at everything I've started out, like, and it was just a bottom pit. And I ended up like walking to a train station. I was like, right, this I timed it like it was fucked. Like looking back now, I'm like, wow, how did you do that? How could you have been in that such dark place to just be ready to fully like
I think the thing people even say because you have children, I bet like both me and Matt I can get like we've both been asked the same question, how can you do that? Like with me with my drug addiction,
selfish.
you with your alcohol addiction, like how can you do that? How can you be so selfish? You've got children.
It's such a horrible question to answer, isn't it?
And actually, trust me, the amount of people that ask you that, I've asked myself a million times more.
But can I say though, like the people who have been through those struggles, and I know so many single dads and single mums and parents who are together as well, who have been through all of these things, they are the best versions of parents I have ever seen now, because they had to go to that dark place to understand what is important. And I had to go to the dark place to the point where it was a one phone call where I was about to do everything that I planned to do, and it was my mum calling me saying I'm on my way. And then I just broke into tears, and I hadn't felt emotion in ages. I was just numb. And that's when you get to that point, right? And I'd broken down, and I picked up the phone call from my mum, and I just remember she was like, I'm on my way. And I was like, it's like she knew. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I was like, nah. That was when I had like and then all of a sudden my whole world just like opened up a whole new world. Like it was really odd. Like I just woke up like I was on like house arrest with my mum for a couple of weeks. She wouldn't let me go anywhere because she was just worried. And honestly, at that point, just that phone call just fixed everything. Didn't need to say anything. It's just I just knew she was there, and I knew she was there for me. And then that's when I was like, oh my god, if I do this, so many lives are gonna be fucked. Like so, I got to the point where I was just like, nah. And then that's when I was like, something is wrong with my brain. I need to fix it. And then that's when I started going down the ADHD hole and finding out all of these things. So yeah, it was like the darkest time in my life. But I'm so grateful that I went there, because now I'm like hippy dippy, man. I'm like, no,
so grateful.
To be fair, like most of the stuff I've learned about ADHD is from your page.
Oh,
like,
stop it! Are you a super fan? Is that why I'm in?
It's like, look, everyone,
Let me just sign your arm.
That's it.
Sign in, and I'll get it tattooed. No, but like literally, like when was it?
It's relatable, like for everyone.
But last February, March time, like I got diagnosed. Well, initially diagnosed. I went to like a friend of mine. He's an unconscious mind therapist, and I wanted to get a few things looked at. Like I felt that something wasn't right, and he did all these little tests where I got to stand there still with my eyes shut, pretending I'm in a different like part of my life and all this. And he was like, I'm just going to stop you there. You've got ADHD. I'm not going to go any further because I know what you've got, but I can't diagnose you officially because I'm not NHS registered. Goes, right, you need to get yourself sorted. And then literally, I think it was probably a few months later, your page came up on TikTok. It was just like, yeah, that's pretty much everything. Everything. I'm literally, you know, like some people, like people go, oh, that bit, that bit with ADHD I am, but nothing else, just that. Like people like star signs. Like it's like, oh, I must be a Leo and I must have those traits because I was born in August. Yeah, because that works that way. But with ADHD,
we have different opinions. Don't mock sauce.
right, fighting across a table. But like with ADHD, like the way you put it, like ADHD out and explain it, you kind of go, like, and it's the different ways you do it. Like the fact that you say like you kind of approach like people, like partners that have in a relationship with someone with ADHD.
Important that like because the ADHDers trying to find out about themselves 24/7 every day, every waking minute. You're like, why do I do that? Or what? Because you're just constantly questioning yourself. There's so many internal conversations that are going on that you can't even focus on.
And then you're battling with the impulsivity at the same time.
You're battling with everything. It's just everything's contradicting each other, and you're like, who am I? And I got to the point where I realised that actually, like, I've been so lucky enough to have friends realise that I just am a certain way without the ADHD, like being told I have ADHD. They've realised I am a certain way and they've all accepted it already. Yeah. And my friends and my family are the ones that have always kept me going. And those are the people that we need. Because, like, leaning on these things are, like, the reason why I'm still here. Like, there wouldn't have been a me and there wouldn't have been me trying to help people with ADHD or anything like that. Had my mum, my stepdad, my dad, my sisters, my brother, like, and my friends not all be there to tell me that I'm good and I'm okay, but I'm not, like, the 100% version of myself. And I'm not perfect, but actually all these people, if I left, there'd be a hole in all of those lives. So, like, that's where I was like, right, well, why as well as educating people about themselves, it's almost more important to educate people around them to be like the allies and supporters and stuff like that. Like,
agree.
Because like now I've started speaking about it online. It's like my friends have got even deeper understanding of me and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll do a video that'll be like, send this to your friend or send this to your housemate, blah, blah, blah. I send it all, send my own videos to my own family. Like,
my missus has got loads of your videos that I've sent going, see? I'm not mental, I'm not weird. Like,
hello. I'm going to send them those.
Literally. That's what happens when you're trying to deal with a 5-year-old and a puppy at the same time. No,
stress.
I don't envy her. But to be fair, like the way you kind of tell people about, well, the support network, I think is a massive one. And I think to open people's eyes to those who may have ADHD or struggling and things that they suffer with, like tics and habits. And,
people don't ever, we were going to talk about this, weren't we? Because people don't ever like...
Because I do. I snort and I sniff and I grind my teeth and I see people, like I'm in public and I'm like, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not doing it to piss you off. Like, and it's, I said it to my dad, it was my nan, and she was like, why do you keep doing that? It's like, I know I'm doing it. Like,
I've got
you don't need to tell me.
But it's all to do with like the sensory processing thing for me, I think. So I've kind of worked it out now. Like I do really random faces whilst I'm concentrating, and like whether that's like like stuff like that. You can zoom in on that.
That's going to be the screen grab.
Yeah, it's nice and it's comforting to me, but I don't notice that I'm doing it. So like now I'm consciously like, don't do the face.
We're all watching now. Come on, do the fish.
Just because it's comforting and it feels good.
And the more you talk about it, the more you'll.
I've found just start doing it by accident all the time.
I found as well, like I won't have a sniff or whatever for ages. And then in my head goes, you haven't done it yet. Fuck's sake, what?
Yeah,
because then I'll do it more.
Yeah, because it's really similar. Like, I mean, my sister grew up with Tourette's, and she like seeing actual like tics on a person. It is completely different to ADHD, but like just because of the psychological element of it. But like when it comes to ADHD, like these little tics, they're almost like coping mechanisms, I think, which is why we do them.
Well, I've got a friend, and he's autistic, and that he sits there the whole time and does that.
Yeah.
Like a crab.
Yeah.
But it's a comfort thing, and it is true. Like I will sniff, and like Sophie will sit there. The other week she had a cough, right? And I'm like, you're not gonna get a drink. I can see those eyes of you sit there and every day sniffing, and I've got a cough for 2 days, and you're having a go at me. Like,
yeah.
But
no, I hear it.
but like sometimes like it can be debilitating, like whether it be ADHD or Tourette's. Like we've seen the likes of like Lewis Capaldi and how he's had to like cancel, like literally stop halfway through a gig. Like, I'm done. I can't do anymore. But I've seen
I respect
people
him so much for that as well.
Yeah, like, but I also respect his fans and the crowd for supporting him.
Yeah, because nobody's gone, you're cancelled. Like, no one said that because it's a genuine thing that he struggles with, and people are like, no, everybody, like, we can enjoy what we've seen.
That's it.
And then we're going to go home.
But I've seen people with ADHD as bad. I think they get themselves into just panic mode because they're like, I can't stop it.
Yeah.
Like, I got to points where I'm like, how do I find a miracle cure? Do I need to find a hypnotist that hypnotises me weekly that can stop it?
Yeah, it's all about distraction with ADHD though. Like if
I'm on my Xbox,
nothing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nothing
like,
for 2 hours.
That's why I wear so many rings. I don't have many on today, but I'll normally wear those.
Do you fiddle with them? Is that
yeah, that's why, because like I can't find a fidget brand that is attractive enough.
I'll have to make one.
Well, there's a business idea.
A mental health fidget. Let's all do it together.
Yeah, no, literally, I can't find something that is like, because I'm quite stylish. I'm just going to say that. Right? I am big-headed.
And modest as well.
Yeah. I'm so humble.
That's what makes you so perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 10-10. So I can't find anything that is like fits my vibe.
Yeah.
And also will help me with it. Like there's loads of companies coming out here and stuff like that, but there isn't actually any specific like this is fashionable and you can do this. Like they're starting to come out and stuff like that, but they're all like 50 quid for a ring or something like that. So yeah, I've just like found things myself. And also I'm not really into the vibe of putting money into people's pockets if they've noticed a trend on mental health and then want to
cash in on it.
Yeah. So unless I know the brand, I know the owner, I know why they're doing it, I'm not investing in anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
totally.
and that's probably why I'm skint, because I've had so many brand deals come through. And I'm like,
people
do you have ADHD? And they're like, no, we're just doing it to help the community. I'm like, no,
you're doing it to help your wallet.
You're taking the advantage of people struggling, and that's not me.
Totally.
So yeah, but yeah, there's plenty of people who are obviously creating things because they've struggled with it, and that makes sense. And hopefully one day I will create something, but ADHD says bear with.
So for you personally, just so that we can...
What's that beeping?
Hello?
I think it's the end of the match.
So for you personally, because obviously there's such a big umbrella with the traits that fall under ADHD. So for everyone listening, what oh, it's hard. If I said like maybe your top 5 bad things that you would struggle with, I know I mean, just so that people know
life.
That's it, done.
It's hard because obviously, like through watching your TikTok, there are obviously so many different things.
It's
a hard one to pinpoint. I know.
Ask me a question again.
So, like, what would you say?
She didn't hide for focus on it the first time.
No, like, it doesn't have to be a number of traits, like specific traits that you found really difficult to, and have had strategies that you know that you've had to put in place to cope. If that makes sense.
Well, that was a long question.
Yeah,
sorry.
It made a lot more sense the second time.
Sorry.
I think it's more about the way that we speak to ourselves as ADHD, and I think this is the same across everybody who has ADHD. It's probably the one that then spirals into different traits. So like I think the main thing is when I used to look in the mirror after a night out in the morning and be like, you're disgusting. Of course, you've just been on a night out, you've made yourself look like shit because your hair's everywhere or whatever, like, and then all of a sudden it'd be like I'll be questioning what somebody thinks of me when I leave, and I'll be like, did I say something in that conversation? The way that they were looking at me in that conversation, it was like, blah, blah, blah. It's all about the way that you perceive yourself, and then that's when everything spirals out. So like the only advice that I've had that's brought me up here, and don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. Like I've had a mental health downer recently, but I'm bringing myself back up now. And like the way that I've done that, and the way I know I can do it, I was just choosing not to, was the kindness thing. Like everybody says like you can't love anybody until you love yourself, right? And like one of my things is like I really want a partner. Like I've always been that family kind of person, but like I think it's bullshit. I genuinely think it's bullshit. Like I don't understand the self-love thing, because love comes in so many different waves. Like you can love your mum, dad, brother, sister, and a romantic partner completely different to one another.
But you've got to counter though, because being nice to people makes you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
It makes you feel nice, and it makes you feel good. And the more you are, like you say, being kind.
Yeah, and I think like is quite like of what you like it on, just by the look on your face or the way that you're feeling about it. And like is less subjective than love. So like I've always said, and I always say on every live that I do, I'm like, as long as you start to be kind to yourself and you like yourself, don't worry about the love thing, because that's way far away for you right now. Like just start to learn to be kind to yourself and like yourself. Like look at your best mate and they're struggling, and what's your advice to them? Give it to yourself and try your hardest to follow it. And you end up becoming quite big-headed. Like I look at myself now, I'm like, you're sick. Like you got this, like, and that's like such a nice place to be, because I've spent.
But you got to be your biggest fan. Though,
I spent 25 years hating who I was as a person.
It's empowering, isn't it?
1 year of liking who I am, even though I still accept I go through mental health troubles and things like that, and I go to a low. I don't look at myself in the mirror now and go, you're silly. Like, why are you feeling like this?
Because you
I'm like,
see
obviously
the good and the bad. You know, you're just respecting.
I'm just like, obviously you're going for a shit time. Like you've just been through this. Like chill out. Go home. Have a nap.
Don't be hard.
Have a bath.
Yeah.
You're all right. And then tomorrow's a new day. Like as long as you keep talking to yourself kindly. Like a lot of the other traits that ADHD is sort of don't go away. They'll never go away, but they really quieten down, and your mind does feel a lot nicer when you're just liking who you are as a person.
So I was going to ask what would be your one bit of advice, but you've covered that. I think that is spot on. That is
smashed it.
I mean,
spot on.
we've spoken a lot about your videos and stuff. So if someone like obviously watching this today or listening to your podcast, where can they find? What about Nush? Where can they find your videos?
Not Facebook. Because there's fake accounts on Facebook.
Here we go.
So I'm that famous.
You've heard it here. Not Facebook.
You get followed on Facebook.
No, someone's made an account that's pretending to be me on Facebook.
It's so
and they're making money off of it. They're getting donations, and they've made loads of money. And I'm like, that's my money.
Using this.
I don't really care that much, because it's still getting the message out. It's still me talking about things, but it's just like, why are you benefiting off?
So not Facebook.
So where can they find you?
I have an issue with you. But Instagram is the Nush, and TikTok is Nush. But that's it really at the moment. Cool. We're going to go down other avenues soon, I think. But
well, it's been great having you on.
It's been so nice to meet you all in person.
Finally.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for doing this, because this is really important.
We look forward to seeing whatever comes next.
Bring it on.
We'll see. Watch this.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry. Oh yeah, we forgot the email.
Add it in now, then he'll just chop it in.
Go on, you do, because I don't know.
So, guys, if anyone's got any questions for any of our guests, or any questions you'd like to ask us, drop us an email at hello at. Forgot.
I knew you were going to say that.
If anyone,
Hello at. Don't know.
guys.
Okay.
Guys, if anyone's got any questions you want to send in to us, drop us an email at hello@mentalhealth.social, and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
And if you've got any stories, we'd love to hear them as well.
Cheers, guys.